Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ron Gallagher with the Pennsylvania Association of Mutual Insurance Companies, along with Sam Marshall with the Insurance Federation, uh, bringing you the weekly call with the Pennsylvania Insurance Department on, to talk about what has happened in the last week, what will be happening moving forward, and for them to answer any questions that you might have. I want to thank the Insurance Department for taking time out of their schedules to make this call happen. This is our third call, I believe, and I do appreciate it. Almost all the deputies from the Insurance Department and key people from the legal staff are on the department too, so we do have the brain trust. They're headed up by Commissioner Altman. Commissioner Altman, what I'd like to do is just turn it over to you, and we'll get started. We're planning to go for about an hour if we have to, but we can end it a little bit earlier if the questions don't come in as fast and furious as they have in the past. So Commissioner Altman, it's all yours.
Thanks so much, Ron, and thank you as always, Ron and Sam, for pulling this group together. It's really important right now to have these ways to keep in communication to make sure that information is being shared so that the department can be a resource as all of you are working to get through this challenging time in the best way possible. I don't have a long intro today. First and foremost, I hope you are all healthy and well. I hope your families are all healthy and well. I hope your teams are healthy and well, and that everyone is adjusting to the new normal of work and life to the best that you can. And maybe you can even get some sunshine today, at least here in the Harrisburg area. We have some beautiful weather today. I did want to thank, we've really seen in the past week an influx of new filings coming in from our PNC carriers taking steps like moratoriums on cancellations and non-renewals, deferred premium payments, rate reductions, etc. We welcome those. We welcome conversations from you all if you are considering how to move forward and the best way to accomplish what you want to accomplish in filings. Certainly, my team is doing an amazing job being responsive and getting those filings reviewed as quickly as we can, knowing how important they are right now. So be in communication. Thank you for taking those important steps, and the department is certainly here to talk through them if we can be of assistance. That is really all I have to kick us off today. So I will turn it over to Mike.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. We will get started. There's a couple agenda items that we wanted to make sure that we talk about before kicking it over to Q&A. But before we even start down our agenda, one issue that I wanted to put on your radar, because I would be interested in thoughts that could be submitted through Q&A, or even better yet, you could email me directly afterwards. The Big I had put out something or sent to us article that one of their, I believe staff had posted online about carrier vacancy clauses on the commercial side that would reduce claims payment if the property was vacant after, I think, 60 days, although that's probably going to depend on the carrier, but then also provide the opportunity to deny claim. So recognizing now that that's a down the road issue because we haven't yet, I think in most cases, been vacant for 60 days, would be interested in thinking about the flexibility that the carriers are looking at, and if you've considered looking at the issue yet at all. So feel free to shoot me an email at the end of this or even over the next several days if you've thought about that issue. With that kind of put out there, wanted to start on our agenda of issues that we wanted to talk about. The first being an upcoming data call. And I think the key point here is that we, the department, we regulators through the NAIC have heard your various trades about the need to work together to limit the number of data calls. And along that vein, the NAIC is working together or has worked together to develop a set of questions that will really look at both the operational impact COVID has had on the companies and kind of the business continuity plans that you've been able to roll out, but then also looking at the financial impact in particular and steps that companies have taken to assess their exposures to the COVID outbreak. I think you will be, all the multi-states, you should be hearing from your assigned analyst in the lead state of your group. So to the extent that that's us, someone from Joe's team, your assigned analyst will be reaching out with the data call information. With that, I'll turn it over to Joe if he's got anything to add more towards the specifics of the timelines of that.
Yes. Good afternoon. We have begun today, this morning, to initiate the submission of the surveys to the various companies in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, like Mike said, we're doing it on a lead state group basis, and we have about 60 companies where we're the lead of those groups. So we will be sending those out not only for the Pennsylvania companies, but also the other states' companies within that group. As Mike said, the survey is broken down between operational and financial. There's 12 questions on the survey. It's very general in nature. It points to the operational resilience of the company as they're operating today under the coronavirus conditions that we're all experiencing. It talks about and asks questions about the company's ability to communicate to the policyholders, the communications put out by the company in that regard. We look at, on the financial side, the capital position of the company, its liquidity and its investments. A lot of market volatility these days. We're not asking for a specific run or portfolio listing. We're just asking about what you expect to occur looking out into the future. And finally, we're trying to identify those lines of business that you have particular concerns about or expect to see some increased claims in that regard. We understand that right now you probably don't have a good view of that. We also understand after the first quarter, you may not have a good view of that. We're not expecting to see really the experience flow through the financial statements till the end of the second quarter, which we won't be reviewing that financial information till August when you submit the second quarter quarterly statements. That is the basic premise. Now, it's not going to be a one and done. The first one is, like we said, operational financial. It's your best view of what you have right now and your ability to operate. The future ones are going to be more specific in regards to information that you have gotten from your financial information and what you discerned has been going to be the impact on your company going forward. I think that's all I wanted to mention, other than, again, it's a April 15th due date that we're asking, recognizing that that's a short time period, but also understanding that it's a general view, general narrative that you have to provide to tell us how you're working through this COVID-19 operational issues and financial issues. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Mike.
Hey, Joe, just because this question is directly on point, I'm going to go ahead and take this question, though. I'm going to save most till the end. Will the surveys be protected under confidentiality statutes?
They will. To the extent that you supply us information in regards to your group, we will upload that to a NAIC shared site where people or companies in that group, regulators with companies in that group will be able to access that information so you don't have to repeat it multiple times. The key here is, and if you get a request from another state, you can provide the information you provided to us if you want, or you can refer them to us to provide that information. The whole concept here is for groups not to provide the same information multiple times to different regulators. Now, the only other thing I would mention, which I didn't mention the first time, is that if you're if you're not part of a group, but you're a multi-state insurer, we will still do the same thing. We will ask for the information, and if other states are interested, you can either refer them to us or provide it, the same information you provided us to the other state. That's it, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. So the next issues that we wanted to talk about related to individual licensing issues. And the first one being adjuster licensing. We've had a couple of questions about bringing in independent or company adjusters from other states and waiving requirements for those adjusters to come in. And just wanted to remind you that the department licenses public adjusters, but we do not license independent and company adjusters. So some of the flexibility that I think carriers are talking about in these situations is after a storm, you want to be able to bring in a number of adjusters from another state. We don't have a process to authorize or license these independent or company adjusters from the other state. And without that process, you're open to be able to bring in those individuals in. Of course, the comfort level here on the independent company adjuster side is that they are direct employees or work for the company. So to the extent that we have an issue with a claim that's being adjusted by a company adjuster or an independent adjuster, we would come directly to you in addition to the adjuster as we look at the claim or complaint through Chris's shop. Chris, did you want to add a little bit of color there?
Yeah, I know that in times of when storms come through, hurricanes or big snowstorms, and we have a lot of claims here in PA, we've granted before where physical damage appraisers, we definitely license them, and we've allowed companies to bring physical damage appraisers in from other states for a temporary time period without getting licensed here. So that would be another route that if there's an influx or a big backlog of PA claims on the automobile side, we would entertain requests specific from insurance companies on bringing physical damage appraisers in without license. But that would be something that people could come to me and make that request if they needed to.
Thanks, Chris. And I think the second licensing issue that we wanted to talk about, there were a number of trades that had written to the NAIC and directly to commissioners last week, urging states to look at their temporary licensing authority. And wanted to let you know that while we don't have anything in particular to discuss today, our statute does allow us to grant temporary licenses in circumstances where there's kind of an immediate public need. So while we're looking at that issue, while we're looking at what some other states have done, I think New Orleans is one that's cited as one that's allowed it. And then on the other side, you have North Carolina that's not going to allow these moving forward. We're looking at it from a Pennsylvania perspective and having 300,000 domestic resident licensees already authorized to do business across the Commonwealth. Chris, is there any other comments that you'd want to add to our consideration of the licensing process?
No, I don't think so. Just that we're looking into it and we're working on a plan right now.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. The next issue that we wanted to talk about, Shannon, I'm going to turn it over to you about accident threshold filings. We wanted to bring this up more as a reminder to the carriers to make these filings than anything else. But Shannon, why don't you kind of weigh in here?
Sure. So thank you so much, Mike. Basically, we put out a bulletin back in January that reminded people that the accident threshold has changed this year. And so we did expect to see a lot more filings than we had because everything was due on April 1st. But given all that's going on with the crisis and everything else, we wanted to make sure that we're just reminding everybody that we're still looking for those filings. We're hoping that they can still submit them by April 15th, which gives them hopefully enough time to update their systems so they can make sure that any of the renewal notices that have the accident threshold values is updated with the new value for this next few years. So wanted to just make sure put that on your guys' radar to get those updated. And if you have any questions, I do believe we're going to be sending out email reminders to those who have not submitted them yet if we've not seen them. And if you've already submitted it and we sent it, thank you. But we just wanted to make sure that we were reminding everybody. And if you need more time, of course, we're looking to work with those different carriers on a case-by-case basis, just making sure that we hope to get that in, hope to get the systems updated so that isn't a thing that we have to worry about down the road.
Shannon, remind me, did we send that out as a state message to remind folks, or are we about to do that?
We're actually reaching out to each one of the carriers that we have not seen it, the filing received yet. So those emails are going out. I'm not entirely sure if they've all been sent yet as of right now, because I think we've just started working on that process, but they should see something at least by the latest by the end of the week.
Great. Thanks, Shannon. And the final issue on the kind of prepared agenda that we had before we jump into questions was to discuss MCARE and particularly volunteers. So Laura, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay. Well, we're looking into allowing volunteers to be qualified for MCARE. I don't think there's anything final on that, if I'm not mistaken, but it's something that we're certainly aware of as physicians, podiatrists, and certainly certified nurse midwives have reactivated their licenses to help with the COVID-19 epidemic.
Okay, great. Is Amy or Jody, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, we're considering this where the medical practitioner is working on a volunteer basis.
That's right. Great. Thank you both. So with that will conclude kind of the initial issues that we wanted to put on your radar, and I'll start to go through questions now. The first question, is it expected of the industry to have employees wear masks now that the governor has suggested folks wear masks when interacting with others in the public in situations where employees are interacting with someone in processing or addressing a claim? Yes, I think to the extent that you are out of your house, even in essential life-sustaining activity, I think the recommendation is that you wear a mask. The Department of Health has put on its website kind of a how you make a mask for those that may not have access to one. I know, yes, last night I made a grocery run, which was life-sustaining, with a homemade mask that my wife was able to put together that we found online. So yes, employees should be wearing masks as soon as they can. The next question, have you received cases where an insurer is providing or offering to provide premium grace period relief to consumers? Premium finance companies do not necessarily agree and seek cancellation. Do you anticipate any guidance for that? I believe we have one complaint that would kind of fall within these parameters that we are continuing to mediate the process through, where I think the premium finance company had maybe initially told the insured that they weren't aware of any premium finance specific guidance. And I think that may be too fine of a read to what we have issued so far, in that we have been issuing recommendations and requesting broad flexibility surrounding the payment of premium. And I think that could certainly be read to include when your premium is financed. Chris, did you want to add anything to that? I know we can't speak specifically to that complaint, but is there anything that you want to add generally to that issue?
No, I think you summarized it well. We're looking into it yet, and we're also monitoring if we continue to get complaints, we may need to look deeper. But right now, it's only one. I don't think we have an outcome yet on that. So I think there's more yet to come on that.
Okay. Joe, there's about 3 questions in a row that are going back to the data call. I think I can answer them. So I'm going to try, and then I'll turn it over to you to correct me where I may be wrong. When can we expect the surveys to come out? They are coming. Some have already been received. Some are in the process of being received. Is the survey for all lines, health, life, P&C, how will they be sent to us? They will be coming from your assigned analyst in the domestic state of your group. So to the extent that you're a Pennsylvania company and a Pennsylvania group, they'll come from our analysis team and your assigned analyst. We are a PA domiciled insurer, part of a holding company based in another state. Will we receive the survey, or will our parent receive from the other state's regulator? I believe that goes to the state, the lead state at the holding company level, so that would be the other state. But turning it over to Joe to clarify any of those questions.
I think you got it all right, Mike. Thanks.
Okay. And another question for Joe was the data call timeline. I believe you said April 15th, Joe?
It's April 15th, correct.
Very good. Okay. Last Friday, legislation was introduced here in Pennsylvania to mandate business interruption coverage. Does the PID have a position on this bill? We have not taken a position on business interruption legislation that we have seen either discussed or introduced here in the state. We have been following the issue on a national level and the potential need for prospective federal national response, maybe something similar to a TRIA-like program that many have been discussing, but no, we have not taken specific positions on legislation here in Pennsylvania. Let's see. Do you have any information, or can you point me in the direction regarding information from the PCRB on how employees working remotely, now telecommuting during COVID, should be classified? I've reviewed the PCRB's website regarding this issue. I'm not finding anything, but admit I may have missed it. Shannon, is there anything that you've seen on the website or that we could share?
No, I haven't seen anything, or at least I don't have the answers, and we can look into that.
Okay. So feel free to reach out to Shannon directly. Oh, that question just disappeared. Has the electronic filing process in the company's bureau, forms A, B, D, etc., been working smoothly? Any preferred or best practices, or even pet peeves? Joe, I'll turn it over to you, and you're free to start with pet peeves.
Now, I actually don't have pet peeves. You know, we requested right from the beginning of this process that companies could file forms electronically, and they have done that. You know, there's still issues in regards to signatures and whether there should be a notary, and we basically said we will catch up later. What you should do is file whatever you need to file electronically. If there's questions we have about your filing, the analyst will get back to you. But I think it's been working fairly smoothly. And to the extent that there needs to be a signature, a wet signature, or a notary, we'll catch up with that sometime down the road in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Has PID issued any guidance on force-placed business, especially in the situation where a consumer may not be able to pay premiums to a financial institution? At this point, we have not, but I think this goes to a point that we had raised on the last call, at least in terms of interest in gaining some insights from you all in the marketplace, particularly I think on the homeowner side with mortgage forbearance allowances being provided by many of the big banks and certainly the GSEs and what that may mean for you. We hadn't been presented, to my knowledge, with a question or complaint specific to this issue yet, but it is one that was certainly on our radar and would be interested more in your thoughts as well. We're welcome any feedback that you'd like to send to us kind of offline. Chris or anyone, was there anything additional that someone may want to add?
Nothing further from me.
I think this one might be a Ron question. Can you provide contact information for the panelists? I believe on the PAMIC or IFP website, one of the two had issued or created a link that provides contact information for all the kind of the senior folks and the research accounts at the department. Turn it over to Ron or Sam for that.
This is Ron. Mike, your memory is good. If you want to get access to the contact list on the PAMIC website, just go to pamic.org/COVID-19. Or if you just go to our homepage, there's a link right there. And the listing of all of the department contacts are there by the major program areas.
And I think for the Federation members, we've done the same. It's probably been in a bunch of your memos anyway.
Very good. Thank you, guys. The next question is, what has the department done to ensure that FedEx and UPS mail is being picked up? Last week, FedEx told me that the DOI is closed. Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. We did find, and this may be from the same person or outside of that, we did run into a circumstance last week where I think it was FedEx that came and was told that it closed, and then it was returning the package to the sender. And we were trying to reach back out to the sender to get that sent in. So yes, that is an issue that we were aware of, at least on a couple of occasions, and are trying to work through that. And to the extent that you have one coming, if it's on a financial filing, for instance, it may be helpful to reach out to your assigned financial analyst or your company's financial analyst on the front end so we know and can expect something to come in. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be an issue. And let us know if it continues to be an issue, because it is one that we had worked on last week. Has PA put out guidance regarding cancellations and non-renewals of policies similar to many other states? I haven't seen anything yet. Yes, we did. It's on our website, I believe on the regulations page. If not there, you can access it was a notice that we had put out. It's accessible through a press release. I don't know the exact date, but if you scroll to the bottom of our page, the most recent several press releases are there. I think it may still be there, but yeah, we posted several notices about providing flexibility in terms of premium payment, non-cancellation, non-renewal during this period, just for those kind of exact reasons of the challenges faced by trade journals reported that some companies are sending refunds to policyholders. Does such an action require filing? How is that being reconciled with anti-rebating statute? I have not seen any of the articles that you are talking about specifically. In one case, there has been a filing that I'm aware of that's being made here to return premium to policyholders, I think, to more or less retroactively apply kind of lower mileage discounts or lower mileage rating, where with the current rate and current mileage, it would be an excessive rate, in fact, for the low number of miles that are being driven. So I think the filing that I'm thinking of was intended to be more of a return of premium than anything that I think you could construe as a rebate. That said, I don't know if Jody or Shannon wanted to add anything to that comment.
So the only thing I can suggest is if there is a request to do a rate filing or reduction, that we are asking it to be filed, just so we make sure we have it on record. It's a cleaner process for us to understand what's being done by a carrier level, because it is varying by product, it's varying by carrier. As far as the the rebates, I'll let John or anyone else want to answer to that.
So typically, it's only a rebate if it's not filed. So as long as it's filed, it should be and documented with the department, it should be fine. So, but we would definitely be interested in those in the articles that people have seen. So if you can somehow get them to Mike or me, that would be great.
Great, thank you. We have not received the survey to complete. As I mentioned earlier, you will be getting it. You could have been getting it today or maybe in the process, but you should certainly get it in the next couple of days. Joe, I don't know if you had anything to add.
Yeah, we began sending them out this morning through the analyst, and to the extent you haven't received it yet, you will receive it. My expectation was that they would all be out today. If it flows over into tomorrow, it shouldn't be any later than tomorrow. You will get it.
And the last question that I have is, with the freeze in real estate broker activities, does the department have any recommended guidance around cancellation or non-renewal for properties that are vacant or up for sale while customers are in transition between properties? I think that's along the lines of the banking and mortgage issue that we talked about earlier. So appreciate the comment, and it's one that we'll kind of take back and continue to look at. But if you have any specifics that you wanted to provide us to kind of supplement the question, I'm happy to take a look at that too. Appreciate it. Oh, nope, we've got another question. NAIC website advises that all MCAS filing deadlines are extended by 60 days. Can PID confirm that this filing extension is being applied for Pennsylvania domestic P&C carriers? Chris, I'm going to just pitch that one entirely to you.
Thanks, Mike. So the extensions for the market conduct annual statement applies to any company that's required to file, whether it's a domestic company or not. So there's been a pushback on all lines, whether it's private passenger auto, homeowners, life annuities. All the MCAS lines have had 60-day extensions.
Thanks, Chris. One more well, actually, that was just a comment, a follow-up on FedEx. If you want to go ahead and email me after this, so you could show me what you're receiving on your side, that would be helpful, so appreciate that. Okay, actually, I think I may have skipped this question because this is a repeat of one that I just saw. So I apologize if I didn't catch this the first time, but has there been discussion around vendors being considered essential? And earlier, there was a question along those lines, and I think they specifically mentioned pharmaceuticals that draw blood for policies. And I think to the extent that there are businesses that are associated with kind of the insurance product, those are not considerations that are made here at our department. They are those that are going through the governor's process, and I think at the Department of Economic and Community Development has the process to review what functions are essential and may continue. So I direct you over to Governor Wolf's website and to kind of review the guidelines for essential businesses and how to apply for not sure if anyone on the PID team would have anything to add to that question. Okay, and the final question is again a follow-up on FedEx. I am Mike Humphreys. My email is mhumphreys, HUMPHREYS @pa.gov. So you're welcome to send it to me. Okay, having answered that and not seeing any other questions, I'll leave it open for another minute before turning it back over to Ron and Sam and the commissioner to close.
This is Jessica. Just thank you again for the dialogue. And if there were questions that we have to take back, we'll work on getting answers. But really appreciate the time as always.
Jessica, this is Sam, and we thank you. The one overriding question, I mean, we've gone through a lot of the practical ones, but I will say the business interruption legislation, is a major issue for throughout the PC industry, and appreciating that you're monitoring it. I don't know if you had any objections or if you supported the NAIC's pronouncement on it, but if this gets legs in Pennsylvania, if it generates legislative interest, and right now there's been an introduction in one chamber, but nothing nothing beyond that. But we would hope that you would take a very close look and reiterate the point that the NAIC made about the limits of insurance coverage. It's a real concern.
Thanks, Pam. We very much understand the concerns coming from industry, and we'll take that into mind as we continue to monitor the Pennsylvania legislation.
Well, I guess I'll close up now. This is Ron Gallagher with PAMIC. I want to thank all of our panelists for attending, and more importantly, the attendees out there. There are over 240 of you folks at the peak, so I do appreciate your interest. We do have this call scheduled to go on for at least 2 more weeks. On Mondays at 3 o'clock. You can sign up and get the login information through the PAMIC website. That's pamic.org. And get yourself, set up to listen to it. Other than that, I just want to say thank you so much to the department. You guys have been doing a great job in very trying times, and learning as you're going, which is always the toughest way to do it. But with that said, I want to thank everybody for attending, and have a safe week.
Thank you.
Good at all. Thank you.